We take you now to Dutch Creek Farms in Northfield, Minnesota, where President Biden is speaking about the 5 American aid workers who were able to cross from Gaza into Egypt today. Let's listen in.
Okay. Don't worry about it, all right? I don't blame her. Is it him or her? I don't blame her. Look, the loss of every innocent life is a tragedy. We grieve for those deaths and continue to grieve for the Israeli children and mothers who were brutally slaughtered by Hamas terrorists, and also continue to hold in our hearts the hundreds of families and loved ones, including small children and elderly grandparents, including American citizens being held hostage. My administration continues to work around the clock to reunite those families. We're not going to give up, period. We're not going to give up. And I am optimistic, but then I am an optimist. Folks, now I want to thank Brad for that introduction. Brad said he wasn't sure what a good speaker was. He can speak a hell of a lot better than I can farm. And I'm glad to be accompanied by, I want to talk about my administration and its investment in rural America. But I also want to thank Governor Vilsack, former Governor Vilsack, now the Secretary of Agriculture. Look, creating opportunities for family farmers and tribal communities across the country is what we're trying to do here. And Tim, and Governor Waltz, Governor, it's a great, thank you for the great work and the partnership, what you're doing here in Minnesota. And Mayor Rhonda, where's Rhonda, with the mayor? There you are, Mayor. Thank you for being here as well. I appreciate it. And thank you for the passport into the city. I don't get many passports these days. Over the past 40 years or so, we've had a practice in America, economic practice called trickle-down economics. And it hit rural America especially hard. It hollowed out Main Street, telling farmers the only path to success was to get big or get out. Tax cuts for big corporations encouraged companies to grow bigger and bigger, move jobs and production overseas for cheaper labor, and undercut local small businesses. Meat-producing companies and the retail grocery chains consolidate, leaving farmers and ranchers with few choices about where to sell their products, reducing their bargaining power. Corporations that sell seed, fertilizer, and even farm equipment use their outsized market power to change farmers and charge them and ranchers unfair prices. You know, in part because of these conditions, over the past 4 decades, we lost over 400,000 farms in America. 400,000. Over 141 million acres of farmland. And that's an area roughly equal to the size of Minnesota, North and South Dakota combined, the 3. Facing higher costs and earning less, family farms have struggled to make it work, to make the math work.
All right, as the president then describes his approach to family farms, we want to focus on this issue of the Americans who escaped, essentially, from Gaza through the Rafah crossing. It has been very difficult for Americans in Rafah. These were 5 American aid workers to get out of that war zone. Egypt has closed the border. That is a border that Egypt controls. Israel doesn't control all the borders of Gaza, and there were 5 American aid workers who made it out. The president, at the top of the remarks before we got in there, said that this is the result, this release of urgent American diplomacy with partners in the region. He singled out the nation of Qatar, which has a very close relationship with Hamas, as being instrumental in getting these Americans out. And he also said, as we heard, that there are more Americans who may be able to come out. So let's bring in ABC News White House correspondent Mary Alice Parks. Mary Alice, obviously the president has said that this is one of his top goals in this war, obviously to get American hostages being held by Hamas out, but also to get Americans in Gaza and dual nationals out. So this is progress today.
Progress, but Terry, it has been slow progress. This was a promise, this was a goal of this White House of the last several weeks since the fighting started. It's been remarkable that we have seen such fighting there in Gaza, knowing that we had Americans, U.S. passport holders that were stuck there on the ground. The State Department had estimated between 400 and 600 Americans, a lot of them dual nationals, still there in Gaza. So this is a significant breakthrough. That's what the White House is saying. But just the beginning. We're talking about just a handful of Americans that we know have been able to get through. Many, many more there still stuck. And that was interesting. Like you said, the president talked about his personal diplomacy, making phone calls, many phone calls, not only with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, but with other leaders in the region, trying to make this happen. Obviously important to get aid workers out, but to get other Americans out as well. The president said he hopes this is just the beginning and that hundreds will be able to get out of the Rafah crossing in the next few days.
Perhaps as many as 1,000, he said. Mary Alice Parks, I want to thank you very much for your coverage of that and your help. Thanks very much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.